Am I the a-hole for being ungrateful of the cake my boyfriend made me? Am I the a-hole for being honest with my ex-husband's girlfriend? Am I the a-hole for refusing to cook even though my boyfriend cooked for a whole year? Am I the a-hole for being ungrateful of the cake my boyfriend made me? I, 33 female, have been dating a man, Alex, 34 male, for almost 3 years. Alex has a 13-year-old daughter from a previous marriage that he has full custody of. When we met, Alex was doing very well. He made 6 figures and he had a decent house in a fine neighborhood. I had a slightly lower paying job. Almost a year and a half ago, his job had to cut some employees and he was one of them. He had to take on a job and he earned much less than he had before. I moved into their house 5 months ago. Since I moved in, I have helped a lot with the bills, usually half or more of them. Yesterday was my birthday. I wanted to celebrate at a nice restaurant near us, however, it was closed. There was another one a little closer to us, although it was more expensive. I suggested going there for my birthday to Alex, and he said that he couldn't afford to pay for dinner there, and if we went, we would need to split the bill. I was a little upset, but he said he would make something for himself. The cake I wanted was, admittedly, somewhat expensive. I pointed it out to him, and he said again that he didn't think he could afford it with Christmas coming up, and we'd have to go half. I told him I wasn't paying for a cake for my own birthday, and he said he'd see what he could do. Well, yesterday came. He made dinner and it was quite good. Better than the most meals we eat. Although not as good as what it would be at the restaurant. When he brought the cake out, it was just something he had made himself. He said he was sorry he couldn't afford the nicer cake, but he had made this one and his daughter had helped. I pretended to enjoy it, but after I told him that I was hoping for a slightly nicer cake. He said he had tried his best and he couldn't spend the money he had set aside for bills on a cake. I guess his daughter heard because now he's also saying that I made her upset after she helped make it. He keeps saying I should apologize to her and say that I really liked it. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for being honest with my ex-husband's girlfriend? I was married for 3 years. We divorced 2.5 years ago. The marriage was bad. I was stupid. I ignored a lot of warning signs because I was naive. I got my son out of it, but I also know that might not be a great thing for my son. My ex was a widower with kids when we met. He seemed ready, seemed like he wanted to date, but there were signs that I missed or ignored or just was too dumb to do something about. I'm not sure. He talked about his wife all the time, had her photos and their wedding photos everywhere. Everyone loved and adored her, and she was this saint in the family, someone who was perfect in every single way, and nobody would ever be as good as her. His kids were especially unhappy about me, but nobody treated me well when I look back. I was compared to his wife, made to feel like I was trying to steal from her, made to feel like I was just unimportant in general. It all unraveled when I became pregnant and he revealed to me he never loved or had wanted to be with me, let alone marry me. His kids and he did me off with a big fuck you, saying my son would never be part of the family, and they were right. Someone must have mentioned me to the new girlfriend because she reached out and asked me to be honest about why we broke up and why he wasn't involved and what had happened. She confessed to me that his kids would taunt her, even the one who was in college, that they made her know she would never be accepted or wanted, and he was pressured to be with her. After talking to her, some of his family found me on FB and told me it was not my place to tell her anything, and I ruined the relationship because she left him. They said I should leave them alone since they leave me and my son alone. Are they right? Am I in the wrong here? Am I the a-hole for refusing to cook even though my boyfriend cooked for a whole year? Last year, my 29 female boyfriend, 29 male, was not working, so he took over most of the cooking. He's an amazing cook and he had a lot of time on his hands, so his meals were very fancy, time-consuming. For example, slow-cooked pork or roast lamb, or meals with 3 sides and dessert, as well as homemade bread. I was very grateful and expressed my gratitude a lot. He's back to work and I've been cooking nearly all meals now. However, I'm also working full-time and will batch cook things or make quick meals. all homemade, but burgers and chips or a huge batch of lasagna to freeze instead of his very varied and fancy meals. The last few months, he's been complaining about the meals, saying when he was cooking, he would never repeat the same meal 2 weeks in a row, or making comments about how he would have added more cumin or whatever. He also asks what's for dinner, and if he isn't in the mood for it, he asks to change the meal, which I did a few times, but I'm now fed up with it. I asked him to stop, but he said it was all constructive criticism and that he used to take requests from me. I'm a good cook and a lot of friends can confirm that, just not as fancy. He has cooked maybe twice since April vegan curry, homemade, the other day since he's been saying that we need to eat more vegetarian and vegan food. And he got upset about how the carrots were cut too chunky. I got really annoyed because I never made any negative comments when he was cooking, and the next day, I froze all extra portions and told him to figure out dinner himself. He said that I wasn't AH because his meals were always really fancy, and now he's coming home to pasta or basic stuff, and that I need to take constructive criticism. I told him I'm no longer making anything for him. Am I the a-hole?